concern that you've been sharing with the district in the past meetings. This is not the time to worry about budget or implementation. I know some of you have that on the back of your mind. Eventually, we will get to there, but today's the purpose of the exercise is be creative. All ideas are welcome. There's no wrong idea. Well, I know we have a couple new members, so we would like to go over more detailed instructions for the group, how the Zoom breakout groups work. For some of you, it's new. I'm going to share my slide with you, and Kim, my colleague Kim, will go over the instructions.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. The breakout sessions tonight are a little different than they have been in the previous meetings. So today you're going to stay in your assigned groups for the full session, but your subject matter experts will be rotating. So Air District and CARB staff with the different specialties in the 5 topics you'll be covering are going to rotate every 12 to 13 minutes. By the end of the full session, you will have discussed all 5 of the major topics. Air District will facilitate the group discussion and keep track of your SERP ideas and suggestions. Both the CARB and Air District staff will be in all groups and are available to answer your questions. When we activate the breakout groups, you'll see a notice pop up in Zoom. So go ahead and accept your assignment. If you reject it, we won't be able to place you back into that group. So please don't hit the leave group button. And if you're using Zoom on your phone app or on a tablet, the control may be at the top left of the screen. You're going to need to unmute yourself once you're in the small groups. Go ahead and do a quick round of introductions, and we're going to have an icebreaker question for you, which will show on the screen as soon as we begin. It'll be about an hour in the breakout groups. It's a brainstorm, and we want all of your ideas. There are no bad ideas. Just make sure to be mindful of time, but also to let everybody have a chance to take a turn. And then finally, as a reminder, we're going to place all the alternates with their primary members. So if you're here with your alternate, make sure to be mindful of the input you're submitting and use the unified voice. But if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask them now. Otherwise, I think Erica is going to start assigning the breakout group.
I have a quick question. Sorry, Kim, do you want us to assign someone to take notes? Or, I mean, I know we will, but to do any report out? Sorry for being negligent and not paying attention.
No, for report outs, we won't have the time, but
okay.
Some notes would be great.
Just notes are
great. So yeah, thank you, Crystal. Excellent question. You're keeping us on our toes. So the Air District staff has been terrific at taking notes from these breakout groups and capturing literally every of your suggestions. For those of you who haven't chance to go on the website and check out those breakout group summaries, go ahead and do it. You'll be surprised with 8-page long documents with lots of community feedback. So yes, just like in the last previous meetings, the Air District will capture all your feedback and suggestions and we'll post it online. Additionally, because we want you to spend more time in the groups, we're going to skip those reports out. All this communication will be reflected in the meeting summaries. But we will hear some experience sharing from Douglas after that. Any other clarifying questions? Douglas, yes?
I have a question regarding when you give the note. Are you going to be having a note for different each group and summarize it all at once, or could I get a copy of that note of what's been said and what the idea is for a future meeting, so we could go back what we mentioned before instead of repeating ourselves the same idea? So that way we just kind of like, okay, we already solved this, we already set this question, now we're going to go to the next level of note. So I think it'd be a lot easier. So I don't know if you guys keep notes to get the information we get as we talk in small groups.
Yeah, thank you, Douglas. I see Jessica nodding, and she probably has a system of summarizing comments.
Yes, not only that, and I think what I'll make sure to be clear is this, I agree with you. We're trying to build here. We don't want to reiterate ourselves. And so what we promise to do for the next meeting is take not only all of these specific notes and have them posted on the website as mentioned by Hannah, but we want to take these ideas and we as the district will then apply, as I mentioned earlier, a cost or an estimated cost and maybe estimated emissions reductions from a lot of these different ideas and come back with some build, like we're already building on these ideas for the next meeting. So that way, as you mentioned, we totally agree. We don't want you to have to repeat yourself or reiterate. We want to start building on them from here. So great idea.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of work to do in the next hour, so I don't want to lose any minute of this precious time. I'm looking at my colleague Erica to see if we are ready to click on this group. Okay, so please, so when you see on the screen, join the group, please click on that button. Please click join the group, accept your assignment. And here you go.
Those of you that remain in the main channel, I did not assign you if you are air districts or CARB, or if we didn't know which phone number belonged with whom. There's a couple, it looks like one phone number that's unassigned and possibly Jay Carrillo. I want to make sure we assign you appropriately as well. Everybody else should be, oh, Gloria looks like she got left off as well. Let me see if she's back in. I think everyone else is good. Gloria. Oh, she hasn't joined.
Erica, Joe Carrillo is with Jeff Wingfield if he got a group.
Which one?
Joe Carrillo is with, I think was invited by Jeff Wingfield, so if he's in a group, so he works with the board.
Got it. Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
I think, let's see, did you get Kim? There's a phone number with the last number 3190.
I don't have that one synced up with anyone.
If you are 3190 is the last 4 digits of your phone number, would you unmute yourself and let us know if you'd like to be assigned to a breakout room?
This is actually Gloria Alonso. I think she's on both phone and.
Oh no, okay. So she goes wherever Gloria goes? Yeah. Awesome. I'll move her to 2. Got it. And then there's actually one more, which is last number 1599, 1599.
That number looks familiar, and it's 916. I wonder if
Kimmy, is that, it could be Crystal, but let's hope not.
No, Crystal's a 510.
Anyone from CARB, maybe it's it could be a CARB person as well. A 916 number, 1599. If I don't hear from you, we'll just leave you in the main channel. Great. All right, everyone else we have staying in the main channel. It looks like everyone I see is Air District or CARB. If you would like to be moved into a room, let me know. And then Hannah and Tim, let's look at our time check. Everyone is in about 1 minute ago. So when do we want to bring them back? I know we got started a little bit late, but we did skip the, we did miss, we're a little ahead given we had the stipend conversation early.
Hi, Erica. This is Brian from the Air District. Would you be able to put me in the Port of Stockton group, Ocean Going Sources group?
Brian, 1 second. Which you wanted the port group is number 4. 1 second. And you said Brian? Yep.
Yeah.
1 second.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
So Erica, I have them coming back at 5:50. I don't know if that sounds right.
So 5:50 is 12 minutes total in the first group.
That's what I have my 2-minute warning.
That's a little more. They've already been in for about 2 minutes. So if, you know, they had to do a little bit of an introduction and that kind of thing. So we could be okay on time. They were already supposed to be back. So I just want to be mindful of, we're about 10 minutes off the original schedule.
Well, for those of you who are still participating in this meeting via Facebook Live, you are welcome to take a break and come back at 6:30, and we will resume this main group discussion. And meanwhile, you're welcome to submit your comments via Facebook, or please email to the Air District ab617@valleyair.org, and we will answer your questions or address your comments in the end of the meeting during the public comment period. And we'll see you soon.
Hi, Erica, can you move me with Heather when they move to the next group?
Sorry, 1 second. I did not see who that was. I was on another screen. Who's spoken?
It's Zong.
Hi, Zong. You want to go with Heather on the next one, but not this one?
Yeah, well, as soon as, I guess this group is going to be ending soon, is that correct? Or is there still lots?
Not yet. I think they just got in, so it's going to be about 5:50. Do you want me to move you now, Zong, and then you can?
Sure.
Do you want to stay with her?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Because then she's going to move from room to room.
Yeah, that's fine. I can stay with her.
Okay, Kim, can you rename Zong and then I'll move her? Because I don't want to forget you.
Okay, 1 second.
Just rename her with BR and then I will move her to.
All good.
I think in group 1, right now they're in. Heather's in group 2. All right, you're going over in just a second.
Thanks.
Erica, you're good?
Did you get it, Zong? You did, excellent.
Hello, Councilmember Fugazi. I see you've joined us.
Yes.
How are you?
Good. Can you
Good.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. We are in breakout groups right now, so if you would like, we'll just kind of put you in one and kind of get going from there if that works for you.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
1 second, I'm just broadcasting a quick message and then I will drop you right in.
Seems like more people joining.
There's a couple, yeah, I'm trying to drop them in. I'm gonna have this breakout group leave at 5:48. It might take them a second. And then Councilmember Fugazi, I will move you in just 1 moment. All right. There you are. Let's put you in.
Hello, Miss Erica.
Hi there, how are you?
Can you see me? I can't see myself.
I see your picture.
Oh, okay. That's right. I joined without the video. Is it? I'm sorry. I had a couple fires because I have a committee hearing tomorrow, but is it possible that I could be put in one of the breakout groups?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have, well, I don't know if you were able to hear everything that's happening, but let me drop you in. Tim, can you please rename 641776? How do you want to be named?
Oh, you can put Assemblymember Garcia.
Okay. So.
Or you can put Alana. You can put rename me.
Alana with Assemblymember Garcia? Okay. Yeah. That might be. That might be. And I'll put you in number 2. 1 second. I'm getting ready to move you in just a minute. And you're going to stay in that group for the whole time.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then Erica, I don't know if you saw Gloria's chat. She had joined through her phone previously, and she's supposed to be in the outreach and mitigation group.
Gloria. And she's in the main room right now?
Yes.
Okay, let me find out where. You said which one?
Right now, in outreach and mitigation.
So group 2, I believe.
Outreach. I think that's group 2 as well. Okay. Yeah, group 2. Okay. I think we've got everybody.
That's everyone. No, that phone number is not Crystal, right, Chuck? Crystal should be in the group.
Good job juggling all of this, ladies.
Well, the transition's happening pretty soon. Oh, actually, in just a few seconds. Let's see how we're doing.
Erica, can you remind me of the woman that you just put from Assemblymember Garcia? What's her name?
Alana Matthews.
Matthews. Perfect. Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to change her name if I can, and maybe make it a less confusing. Okay, yeah, we've got everybody.
Hi, Miss Erica. This is Austin. For the upcoming round, can you put me with Crystal Lazard, please? Would that be possible?
When she moves? Yeah, do you need to stay with her? Okay.
I have to go at 6, so I think just for the next round should be fine.
Oh, okay. So she's going to go. Can you remind me after the break, Austin? I want to make sure I don't lose you, but I want to put you in the room where she goes next.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. It's going to be a little bit of a shuffle as soon as they all pop back. And they should be popping back very soon. Kim, can you keep track of time for me? Where were we on time?
I have it. Yeah, I have 2-minute warning at 5:48, and that's in 2 minutes.
Okay. I actually broadcast them to come back at 5:48 just to see how well they do. So
Okay.
we're
So then
actually
I
going to
would
be
send the
leaving at
warning.
5:50. Yeah, I'll send it right now.
Yeah.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Okay, it's 5:49.
Yeah, I'm going to send another message. I don't see anybody coming back yet.
Timer just went off.
All right, we're broadcasting. Don't see anybody yet. They must be mid-conversation.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could bring them back. But
Do we just wait here for our next assignment?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Oh, not you, Jean. You should have stayed where you are, so I'm going to see if I can put you back. Give me 1 second.
Oh,
We're going to
so
have the
group
host.
is moving, we stay. Oh, sorry.
You stay. That's okay. No problem. We can move you back. 1 minute.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to move you twice. So I'm going to move you into one room and then another. So let me see if I can put you back in 3. 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, you responded, didn't you?
I'm going to put you, Jean, I'm going to put you in room 2 and then come back and I'll put you in room 3. Okay?
Okay, so you want me to leave room 2 and come back here and then you'll kick me into 3.
I will. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. It looks like I've got people coming back. Yes. Excellent. All right. Heather, are you here? It looks like you are. I'm going to start moving your breakout room 2 group first.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Jamie's with Heather.
Great. Zong, you're going too? Oh, she hasn't left yet. Guess she's staying. But Crystal's supposed to be leaving as well. All right. Well, we're going to leave them there.
Yeah, John and Scott are here from group 4.
Yep. 1 second.
And
Aaron
Erica?
hasn't moved yet. Not 1 sec, Kim. I got to.
Okay.
Hold on 1 sec. Room 3. Derek, you're going to 4. And John and Jason. All right.
Okay, and this is Jean. I'm ready to go into 3 now.
We'll move you, Jean.
All right, Jean, 1 second. You
All
were
right.
in 2 for a minute, right? All right,
That's
you're going to
correct.
3.
Okay.
You're gone. 1 second. Let me move. Breakout room 5 needs to go. Scott needs to go to 5. Derek Winters with carbs. So it looks like we've got people that aren't moving, so we'll have to figure that part out later.
Hi, sorry, I didn't move until it was late. I think I'm supposed to follow Jamie and Heather.
You're supposed to follow Jamie. Yes, yes. So we knew this one was going to be a little wonky. So Crystal, you're going to 3. Zong, you're going to 3.
Erica, I don't think anyone's getting moved.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You mentioned my name, but I haven't had anything pop up.
Oh, not you yet. So Jason, you're in the middle. Okay, 1 minute. Let me find you. You should have had something pop up to you. Let's see, Jason, you're in 4. You started in 4?
I started in 3.
You're
I'm
actually
going
supposed
to 4.
You should have a notice that pops up that's already popped up. So I'm moving you again. You're in room 4 right now, but you haven't joined it. It says you missed your message.
Oh, this is John. I probably missed it too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything popping up.
Okay, let us
All right. Well,
move you all again. The message should be popping up on the screen to join the group.
it
Me
won't
too,
let you
Erica.
do it twice. No problem. Won't let you move it twice. What I'm going to do to Jason and John, I'm going to move you back to room 3, and then I'll come back here.
Okay.
Hey, Erica.
Thank you.
Forget about us.
We're
Hi.
having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
I know,
'cause
people-
everybody's just wondering. There's like, I thought I might have scared them away. I said, okay, we got like two legislative offices here, maybe one should be, and then they'll show up.
And Erica, I don't think I'm moving anyone. So maybe just shut it all down.
Yeah, let's come back. Stand by. I'm sending a message to everybody. And then let's see if if people don't accept their moves, they're not going to get it. So let's try. Should I close the rooms, Jamie?
Yeah.
If you're not,
Yeah, I think
Because
we
I
should.
don't
okay.
see anyone's
Yeah.
moved. I don't see anyone that's moved. I see all of the district staff still here.
Do you see any, you were given an assignment. Did anything pop up on your screen?
No.
You were one
I
that
don't
got an
come up
assignment
to any
too.
of it.
Okay.
That's one thing we
Let's
just need to
close those
show.
rooms.
We broke Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, it happens.
We broke Zoom.
And it's not the first
All right,
time.
we'll close
We're
the room.
trying new things. We're trying new things.
All right. We're going to close all the rooms. So we're going to bring everybody back. Let me send a message to them so they actually know that we're going to bring them back, and then we'll do it. Could we have short snippets from each person in those 10 minutes? Okay, yeah,
That's what
that might be an easier way.
I was thinking the same thing. We might have to
go in order.
Brainstorm as a team.
Yeah, we did go through one group solidly, so you've only really got to maybe do 4 different ones.
4 more.
And
yeah,
I think
it's showing that you, go ahead.
And I think encourage people to use the chat box.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yes.
So we'll just go through 5 strategies and share these ideas about 10 minutes of each strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone.
And I do think, yeah, we definitely broke the breakout rooms. It's showing nobody's accepted their assignments the second time around. So, live and learn. They'll be back in 20 seconds.
On my screen.
Hey, real quick.
Hannah, can you stop sharing your screen?
Thanks for reminding me.
No, that's great.
I thought, excuse me, I thought there was going to be sharing regarding like what some of the other AV 617 communities in year 1 were doing around the subject areas that we're talking about.
And Dylan, to answer your question, we definitely can do that, but we didn't want to make anyone feel like they needed to follow other communities. Stockton can come up with their own SERP that is totally their own deal, that is different than everyone else's.
Folks, as you're coming back, please mute yourself. Okay, I think we're all
supposed to be back here? Are we supposed to be back here?
Yes, we are. And please go ahead, everyone, and mute yourself so I can continue because we're having background noise and my colleague Kim is muting you. Okay, guess what happened? We broke Zoom. Somehow with our, can you hear me? I get a notice I'm muted by host. Okay, somehow we broke the Zoom with our ambitious strategy to rotate the group hosts around so we can spend more time on each item. Well, this was not happening, so guess what? Backup plan. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the next, I think 30 to 35, maybe 40 minutes, and even though it's not ideal, we still would like to hear from you. So we would go source by source. We will start with the mobile source. I know you started some initial conversations on each source, and this is fine. Those notes are already taken. Let's not repeat that. So let's go with new ideas. So we're gonna start with the mobile source, and I will ask Aaron and Kyle to help me, and we're gonna spend 10 minutes on that source, and you will share your ideas and strategies with us. And please utilize the chat box. And then we're gonna go to outreach and education, moving then to community sources, port sources, stationary sources. And then we capture like a couple, in the end, we'll revisit all of this and see if we got the information you wanted to share with us. So this is how we're gonna go. Aaron and Kyle, if you guys can unmute yourself, and whatever you're saying in your group, start with that. The rest of you folks, let's utilize the chat box to submit your ideas. For those of you like, I really don't use the chat box, my phone is too small. Let's raise your hands and we will unmute yourself and you will submit your ideas verbally and our district staff will be writing those down. Sounds like a plan? Okay. Mobile sources is our first category. Aaron and Kyle.
Okay, so would you like me to go over the ideas that were brought up in the meetings that we're doing, I'm assuming, right now?
Yeah, just let's do very briefly so we'll have more time to hear from the community.
Sounds great. Sounds great. I have a list here, so I'll just kind of go one by one, and then we'll over as an overview, and then we go into those as you guys see fit if you want to dig in a little deeper on some of those ideas. The first one was the idea of some alerts to the community, like kind of what's going on, what's the district doing, like that way the community knows what is going on in Stockton as far as the incentives given, the enforcement actions given. More of an alert to the community was one topic they had. Another one was public service announcements, to the community of how to use incentives, how do they get involved, like more targeted approach to the community as far as how do they know? I mean, how do they do this stuff? One was enhanced outreach for idling around the port. They wanted maybe a kind of a public and private partnership somewhere to inform the truckers around the port. With the port's help is to limit the amount of idling in and around the port. It could be a community-based approach or kind of a team approach, how to do that. And then the next items are pretty simple was electric trucks in and around the port was one, like in the more electric trucks, get out of diesel if we could. Electric school buses in and around Stockton area was one for incentives. Another one was support. How are we going to support independent truckers? Because most of the time, independent truckers cannot afford a brand new truck, and so can we offer a higher incentive for a independent trucker that really doesn't have the capital or the credit to purchase a truck? So can we give a higher incentive to them and focus on the 0.02 natural gas for those guys? Because we do know there's a fueling station right there in Lathrop to fuel natural gas trucks. But just give it more incentive or more push to the independent truckers than around the Port of Stockton or just Stockton itself. Maybe a vouchers type program rather than a contract, so you don't have to pay money up front. We can just, it's not a reimbursement, we just put the money up front. And then the last topic was, keep replacing ag tractors in and around the Stockton area, which we're doing. Also, the other one, locomotives, is what locomotives are left in and around Stockton, the line haul, UP, BNSF, or in and around the port. How many's left to do, and can we go after those as well to operate in and around Stockton? Which, yeah, we'd love to do that. So those are the main topics we had. There's some other just conversation, but these are the main topics that we had in the 10 minutes we're talking there. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions among those, if you want to add to those, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Aaron, and just to clarify, are those what you've listed, are those some of the things that your group already shared with you, some of the examples from other communities?
There's kind of a mixture. Some of a lot of the ones are kind of similar to some other communities, like, electric trucks, electric school buses, replacing ag tractors. I know idling's one. So some are kind of similar, to be honest with you. Some are because the port's different. So it's more of the anti-idling is a little different around the port. So that's a little different facet to what we do, what we've done or talked about, I think. And then I think the other thing is might be different. I don't know if we've targeted this as much as the direct community outreach as far as how do you do this and what are we doing? What's the district doing and how can you get involved? I think directly like targeting ads in that community, I think might be a new one, which I think is a good idea. So that's a little new. So yeah, those are some of the new ones, but some are similar to the things that we have programs for that we can kind of do.
Great, thank you for clarifying. I see that folks are asking that question in the chat box. Okay, let's spend about 5 to 6 minutes talking about some additional ideas for the mobile sources topic. And I see some of you already typing in the chat box some ideas. Also, feel free to raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you'll share some ideas. Let's do it.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes, of course. Let's spend 5 to 6 minutes providing some additional ideas. What type of strategy or tools we can use to address air pollution, air pollution from mobile sources, on top of what Aaron already shared.
Is there a way where you can post that on the screen so people can see the questions we are going off of? Like on, say, for example, when you share a screen, if you can type it out on the thing, that would be great. Just so people can see what questions we're going accordingly, please. And also it helps for the Facebook groups. Please.
Yeah, I think we can. Erica, do you think we can start the whiteboard and start typing in the whiteboard mode?
And if
You
whiteboard
definitely
doesn't,
can.
whiteboard can
Sorry,
be
go ahead.
squirrely. You could, whiteboard's a little squirrely sometimes. It might just be easier to do it in a Word doc and share your screen.
No, yeah, I was going to just share a Word document, and I just want to make sure that we didn't already have some notes started from the previous breakout, so happy to start a new one, but if there were additional ones, I wanted to make sure we have that there. I will pull one up in just a second, and you'll see it in a sec.
Thank you.
Okay, and I see a lot of action is going in the chat box. And some of the suggestions are going, some of the ideas for the reduction strategies you're sharing via the chat box. Let's maybe zoom in a little bit more. And asking for the help from the air district here. Please help me to reframe the question so for the committee members. So we're talking about air pollution reduction strategies to address air pollution from the mobile sources. And what else? Stockton community, what else what other ideas do you have?
Can I ask a question? Can we get is it possible to from this meeting to get a copy of the chat itself on the questions that were asked in the chat?
Yes, don't worry, we'll have it as a transcript, so.
Terrific, thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ed, thank you for raising your hand. Thank you for saving me, Ed. Go ahead.
I follow CARB's initiatives. It would be nice to have someone from CARB come in and talk about the advanced truck rules and TRUs, because we probably do have refrigerated units in the port area. Certainly we have refrigerated units passing through on 99 and I-5. But it would be nice to talk about the reductions that are expected with the newer trucks that we're looking at moving forward.
I think I have a question. This is Albert with the City of Stockton. When we talk about methods to reduce mobile pollutants, are we also talking about general policies or things that might help advance that a little bit more, or are we just talking about the actual infrastructure and assets that are contributors to pollutants?
Any and all. I think at this point,
Okay.
I think, you know, as broad as general policies and as specific as replacing a specific source.
Okay. So I would just put out there in the spirit of the conversation, you know, that we just consider policies that will help small businesses with any of their industrial pollutants or things that are happening out there because of their mobile vehicles. So, for example, perhaps warehouses that are regularly shipping, look at ways to help support a reduction there. And then perhaps looking at the other types of mobile pollutants, things that we can do with the trains that we know are a significant issue, and help with policies that might reduce some idling, if we can, among the bigger vehicles. So this would be the large 18-wheeler type assets, and then those trains look at, as a group, consider healthier alternatives for the air. And those would be some of the sources that I can think of. And then where we can, looking at locations where mobile source programs would be a big leverage point. So looking at things where electrical fleet can replace old outdated fleets that are high pollutant category of vehicles. I don't know how those are being measured, but you know, finding maybe some benchmarks where we know old vehicles that are 20 years and older that are being used aren't following maybe the same air guidelines. So bringing them closer to today's current standards to control and reduce emissions.
Thank you, Albert. This is fantastic suggestions. So this is how it goes, folks. You raise your hand and we tell your suggestions. And I see Tina raised your hand. Tina, what ideas do you have to share for the group?
So this was someone else's idea from, I think, the very first steering committee meeting. I was just really intrigued by the idea, so I wanted to bring it up again. But someone was talking about, you know, when we have all these a push for more electric fleets, there's also then the need for the support network and like maintenance and repairs. And someone had this fantastic idea of, can some of the funding maybe be put towards programs to help people in the community learn how to do maintenance for electric vehicles, and then maybe it sort of supports the local economy, and then also supporting this clean air initiative, and sort of making the concept of electric vehicles not this like strange new thing, but just kind of ubiquitous in the community.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. This was a fantastic idea, and I see Air District folks nodding, and Ed is using his reaction thumb up. Thank you for bringing this up. I also see a lot of suggestions in the chat box already. Thank you so much for typing them. Anything between creation of low emission zones around schools to land use policies, creating a buffer zone between sensitive land uses like homes and major sources like the freeway, increasing infrastructure for electric charging, more bicycle lanes, things like that. Okay, so I think we got a good start on mobile sources. I'm going to move us to the next category, and I know it feels a little bit, but let's just make this meeting as productive as we can. Our next category is outreach and education, and I have Heather and Jamie. If you folks can unmute yourself and just share with the group what are some of the ideas you already collected.
Sorry, Heather, can you start? I'm going to respond to a chat question.
Of course I can, yes. So we already got started on the discussion in our group, and we had a great time really truly just pushing the message of the Air District further in any way possible, including, you know, at minimum, you know, suggestions like using state highway boards and doing billboards and things like that. But the sky is the limit in the potential for outreach and mitigation, down specifically to something two of our other communities are doing, which is air filtration in schools. We're going to work with the school districts to replace and put in the highest rated air filters possible in the school setting, so that at least when they're indoors, they're being protected. What other enhancements can come from the work we already do in schools or the messaging we already put out? It's sort of a broad-based brush that can be, like Jess said, specific or you know, general, welcoming your ideas on that front.
And just to piggyback on that, we did have some discussion about billboards and messaging, potentially using the state highway billboards that Caltrans has to put messages out about no burn days or air quality alerts. Making sure that all communications that we have understand that it needs to be in Spanish and potentially other languages, working with the Housing Authority, citizen science, portable air monitoring program as a way to get people more involved, looking at masks and how masks can be of assistance, since everyone's talking about masks right now with COVID. Trees were also mentioned in our group. Fortunately, we had one of the folks from Fuentes who they are doing lots of tree planting, but there's some opportunities and challenges there due to COVID. School filtration, educating truckers on idling, building on existing outreach programs, and then also looking for new outreach programs. Looking at the farm worker community, making sure that they have the outreach and the resources and the knowledge they know. And then stationary signs, or you looking for different ways to outreach to folks, since a lot of folks are stuck at home with COVID. Stationary signs at parking lots or grocery stores, places where they might go.
The places they're still going.
Yeah, Heather and Jamin, just to clarify for the members who are new, outreach and education, what is the main purpose of this?
Yeah, so unlike the mobile source and some of the other categories, outreach and mitigation is is really not looking at actually reducing pollution. It's kind of the only bucket that is not really looking at that. It's where you put those strategies that either educate the public about what they can do both to reduce their impact and then to protect themselves when air quality is poor, and then what things can be done to mitigate pollution. So pollution's already out there. Great mitigation factor might be air filtration system in school, might be more trees in an area where there's what we call a heat island effect. It's hot, it's, you know, there's maybe a lot of traffic going through. Trees can soften that.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I see some activity in the chat box with some suggestions already from Mary Elizabeth and Dylan and Christina Fugazi. Thank you for that. Do we have any folks who would like to unmute themselves and share additional? How can we better educate the public? What channels resonate? What works? And I see Tina.
Yeah, I think I have kind of two thoughts. One is just more of a general approach. What I find is I think there's been a lot of focus on like enforcement and like punishing, and that tends to drive people away from the messaging. So I think if we can focus on sort of the incentives and the education aspect, you know, just kind of making it clear, because I think especially with like a lot of small business owners and a lot of trucking, if the message is always, we're going to catch you, we're going to keep an eye on you, you know, we're going to drive some people away. And then another thing is, I also hear a lot about billboards and things, but then maybe also social media is something that could be explored. Maybe just more, like I'm not, you know, Facebook savvy or Instagram savvy, but, you know, just more social media, making it a little bit more real time, I think is also very something we should explore.
Great, thank you, Tina. Again, you don't have to be tech savvy. It's just a brainstorming session. Just tell us, and we will figure out. I hear a lot of background noise. My call is gonna. Oh.
Really great idea so far. Just want to share a couple here. You know, as far as public education, that's probably one of the most cost-effective ways we can have a positive impact with things in general, and you know, get people on board. This is a really exciting project for Stockton. So some things that we can do to increase public awareness is one, put together some kind of a strategic communication plan that would hit some of the key areas of what we think the community should know. So perhaps programs, incentives, or in general, encouraging positive messaging on how folks could do some things to increase air quality, carpooling, things that would come out of this work going forward. But ways we can do it, the methods would be definitely social media. I thought that was a good one, where we can, because we have such a unique boundary line. Anytime we can do direct mail, I think is a very effective approach to educating the community. Using trusted messengers and community leaders is always helpful. I suspect we have several city council members, or in general, our leadership in the city, who can help get positive messaging out, but also other ways, electronic and digital messaging.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Albert. This is excellent. I think we captured everything despite several gusts of wind, and I see Erica nodding. I see Jonathan texting. I like the text messaging alerts. Again, those are ideas. Just your community, you know what resonates, you know where they learn information from. I do see one more hand. Liliana, what ideas do you have for this group?
Hey guys, so we often hear of issues that employees or consumers are the last to get the information. And so in our experience, providing that information at a top level, so whether it's at the store that a consumer shops at, or the employer that the employees work for, providing that information to people who have access to larger groups of people, rather than individualized information to single groups here and there, does provide better outreach and education.
Right, thanks, Liliana. Okay, I'm gonna move us to the next source, and I know we're going fast, but the beauty of the Zoom is that you have a chat box, and even though you didn't have opportunity to chime in verbally, please type your ideas in the Zoom chat box. Next is community sources. We have Jason and John with the district. If you guys can just briefly outline the ideas provided by this group already, or what has been done in other communities, and
yeah, I'll go ahead and start on that. One of the first things we discussed in our breakout session was, some incentives for lawnmowers and types of yard care equipment, not only, making maybe some more of these incentives available, but also increasing the outreach to the community to make more people aware of these incentive programs. Another concern that was brought up was, in some of the homeless encampments, there's a lot of plastic and other dirty types of materials used in cooking fires. So one possible thing to look at would be, finding some way to find, I guess, access to, a cleaner cooking alternatives for some of these homeless encampments. Another topic was dust from traffic, and I believe this would kind of fall under more enhanced enforcement of regulations, although that was kind of towards where we were running out of time. So I think we could look at a couple different things there, either enhanced enforcement or maybe some other ideas for ways to try to mitigate dust from truck traffic. Both there were a couple different areas that were mentioned. One was Lincoln Street, and then also going to and from the port area, a lot of truck traffic. And then John, I'll let you kind of elaborate a little bit more on one of the other topics that was discussed.
All right, thank you, Jason. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Cadret, and I've been with the Air District for a number of years, working out of the Modesto office. One of the topics that we actually spent a fair amount of time on was the idea of developing some type of research project to study in Boggs Tract what are the air pollution. What is air pollution in the Boggs Tract? How does that impact asthma rates? What are the asthma rates in the Boggs Tract? And then from that, develop a approach to going after the pollutants that trigger the asthma, and recognizing that asthma is hard because it's triggered by different things for different people. But that was the idea there behind that. I hope I captured that well.
Thanks. Okay, and just friendly reminder, and Jessica wrote in the chat box, this is just initial brainstorm. We're by no means are making finalized list. We're just getting all the different ideas so we can start sorting through them, and we'll definitely be circling back and again for the rest of the year. Okay, any other additional ideas on community sources based on what you've just heard from Jason and John? Anything else sparkle some additional light bulbs in the heads?
I'll just briefly mention that the spike in the algal blooms near the Delta are a producer, I believe, of methane. And I know that there was an article in the record, which I'll post here in the chat. So know that that's a concern for the community. It's also proximate to, I think, some homeless encampments.
Thanks, Sam. And another reminder, let's not worry about the budget. Of course, we're gonna get to that eventually. This is just the brainstorming session. Okay, anyone else would like to share your verbal ideas? I see the chat box is going too. Margot and then Ed. Margot, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that you mentioned cooking operations here, and I've heard that a lot of the street corner chefs and the taco trucks and things, they like to use their flames. They need them for cooking. Have we talked to any of them? Maybe we should bring some of them in to find out. There's got to be other options, just telling them we'd really like them to switch, but them saying, no, we can't switch. it might be good to have some real people who deal with it and kind of know what the options are. Or I don't know, maybe Fresno and Chapter figured out some options. I don't know. Food for thought.
And just a quick answer to that, Margot, you've touched upon a topic that is a really technologically challenging one that we are actively engaged in trying to find solutions for. There is not, as of right now, a way that I can go to someone, you know, doing a kind of a parking lot food kind of setup and say, hey, I'm going to pay X number of dollars and you can buy this new piece of equipment. That new piece of equipment doesn't exist right now, but we are working to see if there's ways to advance that technology and ways to see how we can address that issue. That is one of the big priorities on a variety of levels at the district.
Thanks. Thanks, Jamie, for your time. Go ahead, Albert, and then we'll go to Ed next.
Just going to comment on and build on that thought and say I think that kind of goes back to the earlier point, which was, you know, are we talking about enforcement or are we talking about incentives? I think incentives are a great way to, you know, build communication strategies, and any other programs that start really coming to this committee and start taking shape would be areas that we just want to prioritize, like the key pillars and the key features of what we want to educate out. So that's a really interesting point.
Thanks, Albert. Ed?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. Fresno has a tree initiative already. Fresno trees, vegetative barriers. I like the term they do soften the impact of currently what we have on the road. Does Stockton have any kind of a tree initiative that we can support in our set?
And if Kenda is still on the call, she can maybe just talk a little bit about some of the work that Fuentes is already doing.
I apologize, I stepped away for a moment. Can you repeat that?
There was a question about tree work happening in Stockton. Do you just want to repeat, give the 30-second version of what you said in the outreach group about some of the tree work your team is doing?
Sure, and I see Mary Elizabeth just put that in the chat too, that part of the problem is tree maintenance. So that had been one of our biggest roadblocks, and we seem to have been able to move forward somewhat, but there's still a lot of maintenance that, and Christina Fugazi might be able to, I see she's on here too, she might be able to speak to that a little bit more about how the funding for some of the existing tree work is going to be. Right now, we're relying on a lot of private spaces and private residents and businesses in order to maintain the trees that we're currently planting. So that's going to, the city ones, we're going to be doing some park planting, but it's going to be fairly limited.
Thank you. And
okay.
Thank you for the notes in the chat.
Okay, and I'm sure we're going to be circling back to this topic again. Debbie, I see your hand, and then we go to Jonathan and Douglas.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. On the same vein as with the trees, I think it would be really great if we could work on saving some of these trees that are endangered here in Stockton, which I can tell you there's a lot of city trees that had to be destroyed on my street, just on my little block here. So I would like to see something like that. In addition, that we could do is helping the current trees and even expanding on those. And I would think Caltrans could be some viable information, or hopefully, on what kind of tree programs that they have to be put, you know, next to freeways and such to combat the dust.
Thanks, Debbie. Debbie, your first point is well noted, and I saw Ed giving a some up. And yeah, thank you for that suggestion. Definitely, we'll look into it. Okay, I want to just pause for one brief moment, and my colleague Kim is muting people, and check in with my colleague Erica, who was sharing the screen, but Zoom is not cooperating with us, and you saw that screen has disappeared, and some of you are asking which topic we're on. We're still on community sources, and I don't even see Erica, but Erica said she's typing all the notes. Oh, here she is, sharing the screen again. Okay, so we're gonna take 2 more comments, and then we're gonna move 2 more ideas. This is a brainstorming session, and then we're gonna move to our next topic. I see, Jonathan, you had an idea. I see your hand disappeared.
Nope, that was just the question I had, was where was the screen for the notes, but Erica got it, thank you.
Okay, perfect. And Douglas?
Question already been answered. Thank you so much.
Okay, excellent. All right, with that, and I know it feels fast with folks. It feels like we're like ping-ponging away, but let's get those initial ideas going. And the chat box has been busy. We'll have a lot of work to do to sort through that. Next is port sources, and I have John from the Air District. John, what ideas you already collected?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is John Stagnaro. I work in the grants department at the Air District. And we had a good discussion about the Port of Stockton and ocean-going sources in our breakout group. So a common theme that the Port of Stockton had with also the mobile source discussion that we already had was the traffic near the port. So the interest in electrifying the fleet that comes and goes from the port, the interest in idling trucks and how that may be enforced or curtailed. So that was a common thread with the mobile source discussion as well. That's common to the Port of. There was a good thought that was floated out there, the potential to use a different fuel type as ships come closer into the Port of Stockton. So there's already a requirement that they can use fuel oil when they're out to sea, and then when they get closer, they have to switch to CARB certified diesel. But then perhaps we can consider a requirement that when they get even closer still, perhaps within a mile, they use biodiesel or renewable diesel instead. So that could be something that we're interested in discussing more. What about electrifying the boats? Is that a possibility for us to consider incentives to electrify boats or small boats, any boat really, and perhaps that's what we require that they use as they get closer, which would also require charging infrastructure to charge those batteries. So some good thoughts around the boats coming into port. And then also electrification, not just for boats, but the charging of trucks as they queue up within the port. And as they get swapped out potentially for electric fleets, then there need to be charging infrastructure there for that. I think Jeff, it was in the chat earlier on in the discussion, you mentioned that the Port of Stockton is working on an electrification project for that need. So that's good to hear, but we might want to enhance that outreach or that availability. And then it was also brought up, what has the Oakland port done? Scott was my co-breakout host from the California Air Resources Board, and he drew our attention to the Oakland port and that they have some, they have measures that they selected. And while Stockton is a different community and there's different geographies, and we want to come up with, of course, customized SERPs that address the needs of Stockton uniquely and the port there uniquely, there might be some wisdom that we can pull from the Oakland implementation. And so we could investigate looking into that and using that as perhaps a kickoff for brainstorming more ideas that we might deploy for the Port of Stockton. So that's all that I had. I don't know, Scott, if you wanted to chime in and add anything else that you may have picked up on. But it was
sure, actually, that would be great. Just real briefly, in the breakout group, there was a lot of interest in wondering kind of what other measures happened in the other communities with ports. And so I was able to look real briefly at the Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach port measures, and just a few examples of what the steering committee in Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach did was outreach, basically working with the ports to outreach, engage in outreach to shipping lines and harbor craft owners to provide information about existing and new incentive programs for cleaner technologies, incentive funding opportunities to accelerate adoption of cleaner technologies for ships and harbor craft, demonstration projects for retrofit technologies for ships and harbor craft to inform the development of new incentive programs, enforcement of the existing drayage truck regulation, and then adoption of cleaner port equipment and drayage trucks, kind of identifying additional incentive funding. So those are some examples of strategies that they adopted down in Southern California.
Great. Thank you, Scott, for looking this up on the slide. Okay, what else? What else is coming to mind when you hear some examples from Long and Scott?
I know we're talking about what are the community sources or just in general contributors to pollution, but sometimes it's fair to sometimes think, you know, the contributors are because there's not enough access to non-pollutant methods, so like bicycle pathways or maybe walking trails or other areas. Is that something we should be bringing up at this time, or is that a better discussion for another feature of the steering committee work?
Bring it up.
Okay, then I'm suggesting it now. You know, maybe some of the reasons why we're seeing so many vehicles or mobile sources is there's just not the right kind of infrastructure in place to support the bike, a safe bike lane or a bike program. You know, maybe a bike exchange. So there's big enough employers around where, you know, if we make bikes available, maybe folks would be more incentivized in terms of getting on one and using it to go across town, as opposed to getting in a car, starting it up, and, you know, driving here or there. A bike creates health, healthier lifestyles, a culture of zero emissions, and if we embrace these kinds of low-cost opportunities, and I'm just saying low-cost because I can only imagine swapping out one of these really large boats that comes through the waterways. You know, that's really costly. I think, you know, these are just some of the things, and making sure there's adequate 5G, Wi-Fi services and other things, of smart technologies that make it easier for employers to perhaps telework, and incentives for local businesses that can support that would be awesome. So I don't know if those are things that are being considered, but it seems like it'd be a nice discussion point.
No, this is perfect, Albert. And I see the Air District folks are nodding. So thank you for sharing all that. We got it. Okay, I see a hand from Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. So I just talked about, you know, working with the airports quite a bit. In fact, the past round of the zero and near zero emission freight facilities opportunity, which has been good for us, we partnered with the ports of Oakland and the ports of Long Beach to implement that project. And, you know, someone else was talking about all the infrastructure. And I think, you know, this was probably the largest jump into electric equipment that the port has ever made. And so I can tell you, I don't know if we weren't quite prepared, but the infrastructure side is a huge component of that. And that's what we're learning right now, especially when we're working with PG&E to implement the charging stations on the east side of the port. So I did want to talk about that. We do learn, we do bounce a lot off of other ports, and we try to learn from each other quite a bit. And I will also say, in response to Tina's earlier comment about kind of the, you know, need in the workforce for electric vehicle technicians and things like that. One component of our Zanza project was to work with like Delta College to, in coordination with Long Beach City College, and I believe another college in Oakland, to kind of learn from Long Beach kind of how this helped develop the workforce in that local community, and kind of take those lessons and bring them up here to at least start a program like that. I think we're all a little bit behind because of COVID and everything else that happened, but hopefully you'll see that come to fruition very soon. So That's about all I have. So we're in the middle of implementing and putting to use 36 zero emission pieces of equipment at the port. So everything from heavy duty, light duty forklifts to a zero emission rail car mover. So we are also, and Joe from CSC is here as well today. They have been one of our partners who have jumped in with us to purchase electric equipment. But we're going to extend that further to additional tenants, additional stevedores, our tug companies, our short line railroad, to really kind of bring everybody together and work to reduce emissions across the ports, all our equipment.
Thanks, Jeff. Excellent suggestions to learn more from other community and more ports, and I so add, giving that a thumb up, they've been nodding. And the chat box has been busy. You guys are sharing your ideas. Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna move to the next, our last source, which is a stationary source. And we have Jake and Arnaud from Air District. Just let's give us a brief overview what have been already shared in this 10 minutes of group discussion. And we're asking our committee members to be active on the chat box. We'll provide ideas for that last source via the chat box. And again, this is just brainstorming. We will have time and opportunity to go back to these ideas.
Yeah, I'll take the lead. This is Arnaud, and maybe Jake will help me. So essentially, two topics were discussed. One was about the improvement that the Port of Stockton is looking at on trying to electrify quite a few pieces of equipment, and we heard some very positive discussion among our group. We definitely support that, and I think it goes the right way. And then so the Port of Stockton make a pretty precise presentation and discussion on what they're forward about. And the second topic was we a little bit provide some feedback on one very key issue attached to AB 617, which is the best available retrofit control technology. I apologize for the technical term, but is again the best available control technology, retrofit control technology, BARCT, B-A-R-C-T. And a schedule has been approved in 2018, and this BARCT analysis applied to those facilities that are subject to the greenhouse gas cap and trade program that is run statewide. And we have over 100 facilities in the district subject to the cap and trade, and 32 rules apply to those 100 facilities. And we had a workshop last week, and I encouraged the group to eventually follow up carefully on those workshops. It's posted on our district webpage. So I engaged the member of the group to really go back on our web and see the document that were posted, the findings and the staff report and the presentation. Out of those 32 rules that apply to those 100 facilities, 19 have been demonstrated to satisfy the best available retrofit control technology requirement. And 3 more rules will be assessed in 2020. While in addition, 5 rules that apply to oil and gas industry specifically will be evaluated during a rule development process that will start in 2020, so in the very nearby future. And those 5 rules will be assessed for their BARCT under the leak detection and repair. It's a program that is attached to oil and gas industry, as well as the applicability of those rules. So those 5 rules will be assessed. And the positive aspect of that also is out of those 5 rules, 2 or 3 rules will be assessed ahead of the schedule that was adopted by our board a couple of years ago. So we're ahead of the schedule. Everything is moving rapidly, and I encourage the group to follow up on those rule development and participate as much as they want. I don't know Jake, do you want to add something?
No, I think that was a complete update, so thank you.
Great. And I see some chat box activity. Douglas has a hand. Douglas, go ahead.
I don't quite understand what you're referring to because you use a lot of acronyms for both those for me and for people that don't know what you were talking about. What does the 32 rule apply to 19 meet the bar requirement? What does that mean as far as retro control technology? Can you explain that particular definition, please?
Yeah, so there's, as I mentioned, there's 100 facilities in the valley that are subject to the cap and trade program that applies to reduce greenhouse gas emission across California. When I say 32 rule applies to those, it's 32 prohibitory rule, meaning rule applicable to very specific piece of equipment such as combustion engine. If a facility operates combustion engine, this facility must comply with the rule that it's specifically designed to reduce emission from combustion engine. So the same way those combustion engines are regulated by one specific rule under the district, 31 other, meaning 32 together, will have been to apply to those 100 facilities combined. And under AB 617, a requirement applied to the district to put together a schedule, which we adopted in 2018, with the intent of revisiting each of those rules under, and I apologize for the long term, but it's the best available control technology. Is the control technology that can apply to a piece of equipment to reduce their emission in consideration of the cost, in consideration of the feasibility, in consideration of other specific requirement. And when you look at all those requirements, you make a determination on the rule by rule cases whether or not this rule meet the state requirement of this best available control retrofit control technology. So it's a state mandate, that it's the state determination or definition that established BART, and we as a district assess those 32 rules to validate that they do meet those best available retrofit control technology requirement as I mentioned. And in case it does, everything is good. In case we determine that there's potential improvement that can be made to the rule to be even further stringent, we open the rule to go through a rule development process. And that's what I was mentioning for those 5 rules that apply to the oil and gas industry. There's 5 rules that we've been identifying, and those 5 rules will go to the rule development process starting in 2020, so in the next couple of months. And I highly encourage you, Doug, and anybody to participate in this rule development process and bring to the table some suggestions to further improve the rule, whether it's the applicability or the leak and detection requirement that apply to those facilities for the oil and gas. So I hope I answered your question.
I was going to say, thanks, Arnaud. And I think what I hear, and I think something we definitely need to bring, and maybe we'll bring it sooner than later, is I think maybe a more specific deep dive into the rules and regulations. When I mentioned earlier, I think there's a couple of strategies that Arnaud just mentioned that certainly deserve more than just a couple of minutes on the agenda. So hopefully we'll work with the co-host to make sure that that's a topic for our next meeting, so we can talk a lot more in depth, because there's a lot to sort of unpack from what Arnaud just said.
Yeah. And speaking of unpacking, if you're looking at the things that Erica is typing, we have quite a bit of long list of ideas, and chat box has been very active. So you've shared a lot. Thank you so much. Just do you want to say just a couple of words? What are the next steps with all these ideas that they've collected?
Yeah, just really quickly, I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again right now. And I know that not only were we taking the notes you see here, I've already been kind of filling in a lot of details, and we will come back with really a succinct list of everything that we've heard here. And based on what we've heard, we'll identify kind of what type of program it would be. So whether it's an incentives or an enforcement program, we'll start to identify partners. A lot of you guys gave us great ideas of partners, and we'll start filling that in. And then of course, we'll do what we do best in terms of letting you know what these different strategies will get us in terms of emissions reduction, so that you're armed with all of that information as we move forward and further develop and prioritize. So that will be our gift to you ahead of the next meeting. And I hope, you know, we get it in time like we did with this material, so you have a lot of time to digest, because it will be a lot. You guys came up with a lot of great suggestions today.
Thank you, Jessica. And we see your in the chat box, you're saying there's some of the topics that may require further education. Yes, thank you for bringing this up as we're putting this draft list of strategies together. We will definitely let us know what topics, strategies you need more education on, and what information can we share. Okay, we are running a little bit over time, but we've got a good progress, assuming we broke Zoom, because it kicked us out of all the groups. So with that, I'm going to move us to the next agenda item, because as some of you who participated in our last meeting, you guys did this tremendous exercise where you really provided your individual air monitoring priorities and shared all this information with the district. And if you had a chance to check out the summary from those breakout groups, there's another 6 pages of captured feedback and content. And using all that, Air District worked hard to put together air monitoring plan based on what they've heard from you in the last meeting. And they would like to share this plan with you today. And I'm passing to John. I'm passing to John, who will share the plan with you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, all right, thank you. Good to see everybody here. I'm John Klassen, Director of Air Quality Science and Planning with the Air District. Happy to be here to provide an update on the design of the air monitoring network for the Stockton community. So as Hannah said at our last meeting on July 1st, we had a great exercise, getting a lot of really good feedback from so many of you on what air monitoring could look like for the community of Stockton, different ideas on what should be monitored, what pollutants, and where it should be happening. So hopefully you had a chance to take a look at what you got in your agenda. I'm going to share my screen here so we can all see this together. I'm just going to kind of walk you through what we are proposing here. So hopefully, can you all see this okay? Yes, we can see that. I'm nodding heads. Okay, great. So hopefully you had a chance to take a look at this. And along with this, there were some notes that went along with it that summarized a lot of the comments and ideas that we got through this exercise. We don't have time to go through those in detail, but in general, I just want to describe the design that we have here based on the comments that we've received.
John, I'm going to pause you for just 1 second. For those of you who are looking at this for the very first time, can you zoom in your screen a little bit? I think it would be helpful. I hope you did your homework, but if you haven't, maybe zoom out one. Is this better?
A little bit closer. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Hannah. So the first section up here in section A of the design here, we got a lot of comments about PM 2.5 and different VOCs near different industrial sources. And so what we're proposing here is to put a PM 2.5 unit to measure PM 2.5 in real time, along with doing VOC measurements. So this is just north of the Port of Stockton. In area B down here, where you see this black icon of a trailer, this is near the Port of Stockton. There were a lot of comments here about industry and trucking, lots of issues with PM 2.5, VOCs, and toxics. And so what we're proposing to do here is put an air monitoring trailer at this location. And there was a lot of suggestions in putting that at Washington Elementary School. And what this would be able to do is measure PM 2.5 in real time, black carbon, ozone, carbon monoxide, different oxides of nitrogen, SO2 and H2S, and different types of speciation analysis for VOC and PM 2.5. So this would be the most comprehensive part of the air monitoring network, and based on the comments we got, we thought this would make sense to place this near the Port of Stockton. Going over to the right, section C here, we had a lot of comments here about the Little Manila area, the Crosstown Freeway, traffic from diesel trucks, and lots of mobile exhaust. And so we felt like a PM 2.5 unit would make sense being placed here as well. In addition to PM 2.5, this would be a compact system where we can measure a number of things, including SO2 and oxides of nitrogen and VOC. So this would give us a pretty comprehensive view of what's happening in this area. Section D, just to the right over here, this is near where the current carb air monitoring site is. And I know there's been some discussion about if the carb site would move, where would it move? So that's an ongoing discussion that we'll be having with the committee. So if this site does move somewhere else in the area, we're proposing to continue PM 2.5 monitoring in this area to continue that record there. Just down here to the bottom, section E, near Conway Homes, we're proposing to put real-time PM 2.5 as well, based on the comments we received there. Just to the right, in section F, again, there we're proposing to put real-time PM 2.5 based on comments about cooking emissions, barbecuing, and traffic emissions. And then finally, on the bottom right, we are proposing to put another compact multi-pollutant air monitoring system based on the comments that we received. This can measure a lot of different things from PM 2.5 to black carbon, oxides of nitrogen, and VOC, and this would be more downwind of the whole community, so we'll get an idea of all the emissions traversing through the community, what it looks like downwind of everything that's happening. So we felt like this would be a good location for this monitor right here. So if you're thinking now, I have some different ideas on where I would want to place monitoring. This isn't exactly what I want to be doing. We want to make the point that this network design that we have here isn't set in stone. This isn't the way it needs to be for the entire monitoring campaign. This is just something we feel like is a good start to implement to get this going. And if there are ideas along the way on where you might want monitoring somewhere else, we can always shift some equipment during the monitoring campaign to get some measurements in different areas. So keep that in mind, that this is not a set in stone network design. We did want to mention too that another asset we have is an air monitoring van that can be used in this area. So if you have different thoughts on where we could place monitoring in the area that isn't one of these specific locations or these areas, we have that resource as well that can help us get measurements in different areas that may be of interest to you. So we have a lot of flexibility in where we can get some monitoring data through these efforts. So a few other notes here. What we'd like to do is, hopefully, if you're supportive of this design, our next step is to develop a community air monitoring plan, which is a document that will have this design in there as the start of it, but it'll describe a little bit more about the equipment that we'll be operating, how that'll be operated and maintained, and how we will make the data available to the public for review in real time. So that's something that we're going to take the next step on. If we have your support in this design, we're going to develop that draft community air monitoring plan, and when that's done, we will send it to the committee to get your review and input on that as well. And as you've heard before in other presentations, the goal is to have this air monitoring begin by January of 2021, which is just a few months away. A few other points here. If you're good with this design, we would definitely want some feedback from you if you have ideas on exact locations in these different areas where it could work. We got some good feedback on different schools like Washington Elementary and Edison High School that we've already gotten specific feedback from you on. But if we move forward with this design, we would love to get feedback from you as well for these different areas if we have a very specific location in mind of where this could work, and we can continue working on implementing that. So if we have support from you, the next step we need to take as well is to take an item to our governing board to get approval to spend the funding to purchase all of this equipment for the Stockton Community Air Monitoring Network. So that's something that we need to have happen sooner than later, because the sooner we can get that approval, then the sooner we can purchase the equipment, the sooner we can have that in-house and begin to deploy in the Stockton community. So we hope to have, you're okay with this to start with, and then get that approval from our board, which we would like to take to our board at their August board meeting in a couple of weeks. And I did want to mention one more thing, that the approach we're taking here, if you're thinking about how this compares to what we've done in South Central Fresno and Stockton, this is a very similar air monitoring approach that we're taking here, where we're using the same sort of equipment, the same sort of investment. And so what we're going to learn from here will be very similar to the efforts we're making in the other two communities. And that's it for my quick update. So hopefully we can have time for a few thoughts from the committee if there's support for this network design, and we can move forward with developing our community air monitoring plan and getting some of this equipment purchased. Thanks, Hannah.
Yes, thank you, John. So as a group, I've seen chat box is very active. You're giving us some additional suggestions for maybe monitoring location or some type of equipment. I don't have time. I cannot read that all. It's going so fast. But what I would like to ask this group, this plan, this air monitoring plan, what questions or concerns do you have for this plan? Does it reflect and capture everything you've shared with us as a group, not only during last meeting, but a couple meetings before? And you're typing in the chat box. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw Jessica's comment after I commented about holding individual polluters accountable at the port. Is there a reason why there is not a monitor or any monitors in the port versus across the street or across the water? I also saw that Mary Elizabeth said that is upwind a lot, where that location is. So I just would like some clarification on why that, it was there and not at the port.
Are you talking about the location of the air monitoring trailer?
No, not the trailer. The PM 2.5 and VOC near port. I would like to know why there's not one at the port, because that location is supposedly upwind. I can't verify that, but I just want to know why it's not in the port.
Okay, right. Yeah, just looking at the comments we had for that section A, there were some specific comments about different fabrication shops in the areas for cars and boats, which can produce VOCs, and for different types of traffic and different sources that can cause PM 2.5. So based on those comments, we felt that measuring VOCs up there would be important just based on the localized sources. But at the trailer there in near Washington Elementary School, that will also measure those same pollutants, which should capture everything from the port area that may be going downwind as well.
And just to add to that you're definitely right, it is upwind, and having an upwind and downwind actually is even more useful and helpful when we're assessing sources and impacts. And typically, in addition, I should say, to what we want to do, we definitely want to monitor where, think about monitoring where the sensitive receptors are. So a lot of these, you notice, we tried to place near schools as suggested by all those blue dots were all the committee member suggestions. So we tried to kind of place these where those clusters of comments were.
Thanks, Jessica. Douglas?
Yeah, I have a question. To piggyback what the other person said regarding to air pollution, does water algae that people we were told in the news, like if you smell like that, keep away, that can also regulate or monitor as well because it's in the air as well. Air quality, the algae that's in the water, they're gonna monitor that, including the smoke and everything else.
Thanks, Douglas, for the question.
Just real quick. Thanks, Douglas, for the question. And from what I understand, and we'll continue to do some research on this, but when we have algae blooms, they can cause different pollution levels of VOCs. And so as we better understand that, we're going to be doing a lot of VOC speciation work through this work here. And so we'll have the ability to measure those samples, collect those samples, and send them to a laboratory for a more comprehensive analysis to break down the different types of VOCs that could be contributing to that. So through that analysis, we may be able to isolate if there's any impacts from algae in the area impacting the air quality. So that's something that we can continue to investigate. It's a good question.
Thank you. I see in the chat box there are additional suggestions for potentially moving locations or monitors. John or anyone else from the district, how will we look at the suggestions? Will we update this existing document? It seems like there's overall support for this document, but a lot of suggestions. Not the document, the plan, the monitoring plan.
Yeah, just thinking about the time that we have here. I know we're kind of at the end of the time, but I can start looking through some of the questions here and some other staff. But if those of you who have a really important question, I think that you want to ask right now, if you want to if you're able to just let us know, bring it up right now and we can talk about it. Otherwise, we can take some time to review the questions after the meeting and get some feedback to the committee and see if we can move forward with this.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are at 7:05. Again, thank you for providing all your suggestions on the plan. I've seen several comments of the support of the plan, a lot of suggestions. This is good. So we will, my understanding, will revisit this item one more time. Okay, I'm going to move us to the wrap up. We're a little bit over time, apologies. Looks like we have our community host, Gwenabel. I might have mispronounced your name. Volunteered to be our community host. Thank you so much. I would like to say a big thank you for Douglas for being our community co-host this time. If you would like to be community co-host, raise your hand and we will write your name down, not only for September meeting, but for October. Just because we have one volunteer doesn't mean anything. We're taking more. I would like to pass it to Douglas for the final remarks for this meeting. Douglas?
Yes, yes, I am so overwhelmed with so much knowledge and terminology and things that we can work for solution. And all the people that were part of the committee have gave a lot of thought, a lot of ideas, and I really appreciate everyone for participating, and I really learned a lot as I go along. I still ask questions, not to be afraid to ask questions like I before, but definitely get a true understanding of what you guys are trying to do for their qualities. So I really thank every one of you, the staff and the people in the committee who really look Stockton and who really care about our environment and our quality of life here. So I really thank everyone, and I've learned so much from you guys. So and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Douglas. Two little announcements before we let everyone go. First one, CARB staff and Air District staff will stay on the line for a couple more minutes to ask any clarifying questions. We're gonna stop Facebooking live at 7:08. This meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you so much for participating. For those of you who would like to watch the preview of AB 617 Stockton Community Tour video, it's just the preview, it's not the final video, that you're welcome to stay on the line and
Hannah,
watch
can
that video.
I introduce it too real quick?
Yes, of course.
Undo it. Hey, Hannah, can you undo Facebook Live for me?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Heather?
Do you have host control so that you
I've got
can disconnect us?
I've got it, Heather.
Thank you.
So we knew we were going to have a really tight meeting, so we've added this to the end. So if you all have kids or other things pressing, we are going to put this online on the website, hopefully before the end of the week. But I want to thank those community members and steering committee members that helped us with this video. It really is their words, their thoughts, which I think echo a lot of your words and your thoughts. Ideally, we would have all liked to have gotten on a bus together maybe a couple of months ago and driven around and learned about the community. Of course, that wasn't possible. So this was the next best thing we came up with. And once we, well, and actually it's pretty much close to being done. The one thing that we have to add in is we're gonna have ASL down in the corner so that all folks who are interested within Douglas's community, he has lots of folks he wants to share it with, that they will be able to enjoy it. And then we even may do other stuff with it as we move it along. So with that, I'm going to let Heather, if she can share her screen. I don't know if she can or has to ask permission. She's going to play it from her computer, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. And it is kind of, it's 10 minutes long, so I want to warn you in advance. There's lots of things in this community.
Heather, did you share your audio? There's extra steps when you play videos on Zoom. You have to connect audio with a separate link.
Luminal Rising started as an organization that was focused on the historic preservation of the Little Manila Historic Site, which we're in right now in downtown Stockton, just south of the Crosstown Freeway. And we started it because Little Manila, the historic site, was destroyed in the 1960s and 70s due to urban revitalization and the building of freeways. And so, of course, Crosstown Freeway was built right through the middle of the community, pretty much destroying it. And as we come into play around 1999, after we come back from college and take these ethnic studies courses, we learn about our history, we find that one of the last remaining blocks of Little Manila was set for demolition. Literally, there was a wrecking ball in front of the buildings as we came back in a town. The Crosstown Freeway is basically a freeway that was built through the heart of many communities of color right through here, through Stockton. So of course, Little Manila, Chinatown, Barrio del Chivo, and the Black community in Boggs Tract was destroyed by the building of the Crosstown Freeway. And so literally you have homes right across the street from a freeway, and which creates this community in which you're almost destined to have asthma or some type of respiratory disease. And I think that's the culture that we want to change. I think AB 617 gives us that shot to get people to understand that, give them the tools to do something about it, and hopefully have more lives to share together as families.
Conway Homes is 436 units. Our challenges, our biggest challenge is getting to the grocery store. We don't have a safe street to get there. And most of us don't have cars. We don't have that many choices either. We only have Food for Less, which is in Western Ranch. From here, it's south along that wall that we have. And it's Matthew Road. Matthew Road does not have any lighting. It does not have any stop signs. It does not have any sidewalks. It does not have any shade. So we have to share the road with the cars. And that's a challenge, especially the women with small children. They have to make sure that they don't run into the streets. We have the Van Busker Golf Course right now. It's closed because they can't maintain it. So every once in a while, there'll be a fire. People just tend to go in the park and start fires. Maybe the children, I don't know, but we have a fear that we're going to be the next paradise. It's going to put all our houses in danger. It's going to put our health in danger. We had the pallet fire out in Box Track, I think it was. That was another one. It was scary. All that wind blew down here. We're downwind from there. So everything that happens in Box Track comes down this way. What originally brought me up to AB 617 was Washington School. My son goes to Washington School out in Box Track. I know they made some changes, but there's still a lot of exhaust, a lot of industry around that area, and it concerns me that my children are out there in the hot sun running a mile. So that concerns me. To me, it's going to be future health problems. Most all the residents have asthma. Their kids have asthma. They have inhalers. Yeah, most of them.
The biggest challenge is that face Stockton is that most of the time they don't put money to resources like this park. You know, it's beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful. I came in like 10 years ago. It wasn't like this. You know, you see all the trunk, the branches, it's kind of wither. And as a resident of this particular area, I'm more concerned about the students near my school at Victory Park, the way they breathe. What improvements I'd like to see in Stockton is that we need to have more awareness. I think also due to a lot of congestion, they should use electrical vehicle, electrical bikes, electrical scooter, electrical car. And low it has potential, but we need to wake up everyone to remind, hey, this is still a valuable asset we have, beautiful park toward the Delta.
I myself have asthma. I ended up getting asthma when I started teaching in this area. And this year, I had a lot of students that had asthma. And I started learning a lot, like the air. And I was telling Jonathan, oh yeah, we have sulfur. It's like it hits you, like you want to faint. So that's why I got involved, because I'm interested in how, as a teacher, I can make a difference.
Well, what I noticed, because I'm part of the community center, when I come and meet with our family members within this community, I noticed that the elderly, they be coughing a lot. And what else can we bring? I know that having a lot of trees around this surrounding areas, it is perfect, so we can bring more oxygen and clean the air for them.
Well, one of the things I hope by being on the steering committee is not only helping my school, but the center and the community itself. Because as you can see, some of them have dead trees. We need to help build that. They also need to understand the importance of everything else, from recycling to everything that affects the community. So I think the first thing they understand is the air, how important it is that when you're elderly, sometimes it's not great to be out here.
I mean, we would love to have something for this community besides the community farm and the community center and our school, because as it is, there's not even a store for them to buy their groceries. We only have a liquor store.
To make economic development out here and just building the roads, we aren't really measuring the drawbacks when we're just measuring GDP growth. So I think that is really caused a lot of issues out in this community. And then the freeway came in and it became bisected by this industrial megapolis that we're right on the edge of now. And so we see all the dust when the farmers start tilling their fields. We see all the smoke from the energy plant. If we can start promoting trees and urban forestry, and not just for shade, but also for food, and get people to think about designing this city based off those trees, that can be one of the key turning points, I think, in sucking up a lot of this pollution and regenerating the environment.
There are some physical improvements happening here in Sierra Vista. I know that there's renovations that are taking place, and hopefully that'll improve. But what's really needed is a lot of green space, because we have the big issue is obviously the pollution with the airport, and now even you have the trucks, what have you, that go by. So the green space is something that's needed to circumvent all of that all of the smog, everything that we have that's going on with those vehicles. And that's especially needed, especially when you're a young person trying to do positive activities like exercise.
Over on the side, we used to go here when I was a kid. We used to go fishing at what we call the creek, and we used to get crawfish, but we can't do that now because it's more polluted.
For me, it's important that AB 617 is out here in this neighborhood, and especially for programming. You see, there's a lot of kids out today when we came, and they're out playing. And I know it's, with COVID and everything, but there's still virtual programming that could be done. And then also for the people that are out here, the teenagers that are out here, to see that there's green jobs available for them.
And so now we're coming back to our neighborhood to try and help and say, okay, we learned a little bit more. We came better. So this is what we need.
We all moved on from the Vista, but we come back because we care about this place, because we know the heart of this place and the families and the kids that are here, So now's the time for groups to come in and really work with the community while there's people that are coming back to the community that are educated and really want to work within the community.
So here we have the Port of Stockton, and then we have Lewis Park. Lewis Park is one of the biggest parks in the city of Stockton. And then on the other side of Lewis Park, you have the apartments. And those apartments are pretty new. They look really nice. But along those areas of the park, on the apartments, there are also a lot of other issues. Say, for example, you have them pretty close by on the I-5 corridor, and then also the homeless encampments where they like to burn a lot of trash and who knows what else. Stockton, unfortunately, is at a disadvantage geographically, being put in an area where it's mostly for goods movement. A lot of truck traffic, a lot of cars traveling outside of city. I mean, they live here in city, or sometimes they're coming from Sacramento, but having to come down south. And then, of course, here, as we can see in my background, the Port of Stockton. Port of Stockton has been here for a very long time. That's pretty much how downtown Stockton was made, to bring in some industry going. For residents, it does kind of become a disadvantage when, from both sides of the area, there's a lot of carbon emission and pollution. So the AB 617, I believe, is going to really showcase the data, being able to provide that strong data that we can then say for a city council member or to the state, saying, hey, we have bad air quality in these certain areas. And then when it comes to land use policies and when dealing with general plans, we'll start to be more understanding, and the city and planners will start to then realize, based off of the data that we have, we need to be more careful and sustainable.
Well, I see some silent claps.
And I just have to say real quick, wait, let me move this. We really just need to give Jonathan a huge shout out. I had this little, not remarkable in any way idea, and Jonathan is like, I was about to say a dog with a bone, but I don't want to minimize how awesome he is. He took this idea, ran with it. I want to thank everyone. We asked several people to be involved. I respect everyone. Some folks did want to be involved, some folks didn't, but really just fantastic job to Jonathan and all of those folks who participated. There is an opening kind of thank you to all of our speakers. We are going to get this up online. We're going to drop in the ASL translation, and we will share with you once it is on the Stockton AB 617 website. On the we're going to post it to social media as well, and have it. If you want to share it, I saw a couple people want to share it, but just really huge shout out to everyone who participated, those of you that didn't but thought about it, and then really Jonathan for his great work.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Being able to do it, honestly. And it wouldn't be if it wasn't for the residents to be able to do it. I mean, I literally called a lot of them and asked them, okay, I'm going to be talking about this. What is some of the information? So it's really, I'm relaying their information that they're giving me. And thankfully, the videographer was able to not include the cringy parts that I talked about, because yeah, how many takes were there? Like 3 to 4 takes I had to do.
Jonathan, you were perfect. Every take was perfect for Jonathan. Don't leave him.
But thank you so much. Thank you guys for being able to do it. It means a lot.
This is so cool. I am just so amazed at you guys. So I'm in my new role interviewing all of the division chiefs at CARB, all the different various divisions, and asking them how to update the environmental justice policies and actions and what would be effective. And unanimously what they're saying is tours, community tours, help us understand what's going on the ground. And in the time of COVID, we all know that's hard to do. So this is a super awesome illustration of like how to keep it going right now. And I love that Stockton is the leader. It's super good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, officially this meeting is adjourned. I did miss the public comment period, my bad, but I was informed that we were infusing those comments. I see someone's laughing. We were infusing these comments as we were going, and we're still recording this meeting, so this we addressed that. I assume, even though it's 7:25, we did promise for the CARB and Air District folks who are, I know, very tired, but still stay on the line for just a couple more minutes for any clarifying questions from the committee. No more than a couple minutes, and yeah, unless you have some urgent questions, you are free to go. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
I have one, since we're just in chatting mode, I have one more thing. I did watch, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it gave me more insight into Stockton. You guys are famous right now because HBO is running a documentary on your community and your mayor. And I'd be curious if people publicly or privately want to tell me if it's an accurate portrayal of Stockton, but it was just interesting to get another viewpoint. The documentary is called Stockton on My Mind, and I think it just came out last week, so it was interesting.
Haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Just unmute yourself and feel free to share.
I see Dylan's chat. Both Dylan's group was featured, and then Fathers and Families and Fathers was featured, and I saw some familiar faces, and so you know, I feel kind of like when we're hanging out with Stockton, we're hanging out with celebrities.
Yeah.
My wife's in it. So there's a teacher that's talking to a student from Conway Homes, and she's the one that says, yeah, go to college and then come back to Stockton.
I remember that part.
I love it. So really, Dylan, it's not you who's a celebrity, it's your wife who's a celebrity.
Yeah, she's got way more street cred than me.
But we know how to get to her, so we're good. Go Team Stockton. That's right, Albert.
Yay.
Hey, I just wanted to take a second just to really share my appreciation with this steering committee. I mean, talk about people being able to roll with punches. It's not just you consistently excel when it comes to challenges being coming in as a steering committee with COVID and not getting the similar kind of opportunity that was available in South Central Fresno and Shafter. But from everything I'm seeing, I mean, you're in some regards like surpassing with it, like the level of comments, the thoughts and ideas that are coming. And that's not to say that it wasn't good in South Central Fresno and Shafter. It's just, to me, Stockton has really raised that bar, and it's just been fantastic working with all of you. And so just wanted to share that appreciation, and from everything I'm hearing from all the rest of the district staff, I mean, they're equally impressed with all of you as well. So just thank you so much.
Second that.
Third.
Yay. Well, thanks everyone.
Everyone have a fantastic night.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you guys all soon.
Good night, all.
See you later.
Good night. Thank you.
Oh, I see more chat things coming in.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.